Hello, good morning, and you're watching Market Cafe on ET now with me, Vinny Motiwala, along with me, Sneha as well. Sneha, a very good morning to you, and obviously happy International Yoga Day to you and all our viewers this morning. Hope all of you all are practicing your yoga, meditating as well. But Snehi, we are surely here in the studios. What is the US market looking like? Is it going to give us a nice yogic peaceful day, or are we going to see some turmoil today on the D street then?
Absolutely, Vinny. So wishing all our viewers a very happy International Yoga Day and hope you have a very fit and healthy day and life ahead. Now let me quickly take you through the global handover then. And when it comes to the US markets, US stocks futures were near flat on Tuesday evening as investors took a breather from last week's market rally. So the Wall Street has faltered a little bit and futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 21 points and S&P 500 futures also inched down a little bit and Nasdaq futures lost nominally as well. Now shares of FedEx fell about 3% in extended trading after the shipping giant posted weaker than expected revenue for its most recent quarter. Now the Dow fell to 45 points, which is almost 0.7%. The S&P 500 slid 0.5% and the Nasdaq Composite lost all 0.2%. So, quickly shifting focus to Europe also as well, then investors will be monitoring the UK inflation data this week, which is due on Wednesday, and the monetary policy announcement on Thursday. Now, European stock markets closed lower Tuesday as investors remained cautious over the outlook of the global economy, particularly following recent data from China that's come in. And the benchmark stock 600 index ended the day almost 0.5% lower, with most sectors trading in the negative. Autos led losses down 1.4%, while utilities rose almost 0.7%. But so this is the global handover coming in fairly negative. So let's see how that pans out for our stock market today. But that's on the global front, Winnie. But why don't you take us through what crude did and what other commodities did yesterday?
Absolutely. Just talking about the crude prices, again, they actually fell overnight. But now this morning, slight bit of a gain is what we're seeing coming in from the Brent crude oil prices. Brent crude oil prices now are trading about the $76 per barrel mark. Overnight, yes, it was trading below that level. It was a very choppy trading day overnight in terms of the Brent crude oil and oil futures coming in, because in terms of the slower oil demand growth in China, which is the second largest consumer in terms of oil consumption. So yes, that continues to be a key factor. I have spoken about it and day in and day out. So that is a leading factor that continues to impact the oil prices as well. But as of now, this morning we are seeing Brent crude oil prices at $76 per barrel mark, above those levels, while when you look at it in terms of WTI crude oil as well, that seems to be a bit flattish in trade as well. Not on the negative side, but not on the positive side as well. Almost $71 per barrel mark. It's trading around those levels as of now as well. Gold prices, let's look at that. That's slid below that $1,950 per ounce mark, especially on the back of the US housing data and a firmer dollar impacting the gold prices. So yes, that's just a roundup in terms of gold as well as the prices this morning, Snehi.
Absolutely. And now let me take you through all the important cues that you should be keeping on radar today, domestic as well as globally. On the global front, you've got the UK CPI numbers coming in, big numbers coming in, very important data to look out for, so keep an eye out on that. On the Indian stock market front, among the annual general meetings today, you've got Solar Industries India, you've got Cyient and you've got Supreme. These companies are going to have their annual general meetings today. On the corporate action front, you've got Polycab that will trade at an X dividend today. So keep an eye out for that stock. And India Mart will trade X bonus. So again, expect some action on that stock. And today is the last day to buy, to be eligible for dividend. It's the last day to buy Tata Elxsi as well as Tata Steel. And among other events, today PM Modi's official visit to the US will begin. And PM Modi will lead the International Yoga Day celebrations in the US. So keep an eye out for all these cues.
Okay, and you just saw the visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Obviously, he got a grand welcome in the United States. on his first state meeting. From today till the 24th, he will visit top bosses of United States Inc., all the top companies, policymakers, including state dinner, bilateral talks with President Biden, and address to the joint session of the United States Congress as well. And it couldn't have started on a better note. Modi met with Elon Musk, who was only praises for the Prime Minister. He said he is a big fan of PM Modi, and I quote, PM Modi really wants to do the right things for India. He added that he will plan to visit India again next year and is looking forward to bringing Starlink to India. Modi also met with Indian diaspora billionaire investor Ray Dalio, who said that India has an enormous potential. Listen to what he had to say.
Well, I'm actually incredibly excited about the future of India. I think India has more promise than any large country in the world. He really cares about India because he's pushing us to make significant investments in India, which it is something that we intend to do, and we're just trying to figure out the right timing. In a nutshell, it was a fantastic meeting with the Prime Minister, and I like him quite a lot. He visited our Fremont factory several years ago, and so we've now known each other for a while.
Prime Minister Modi is a man whose time has come at the time that India's time has come. The potential of India is enormous, and you have now a reformer, a radical reformer, who has the ability to transform it and the popularity to transform it. So I think India and Prime Minister Modi are at a juncture in which there's going to create a tremendous opportunity, tremendous changes in India that are going to be really startling.
With His Excellency the Prime Minister, we sat down, he mentioned anti-fragile, we spoke about bouncing back from adversity, and we spoke about essentially risk-taking. So it was wonderful. And I also commended India on the response to COVID and how India was very efficiently dealt with it, particularly with the food, the distribution and all of that.
All right, and tracking the latest from the US then, where the Department of Justice has announced a new unit within its security division to focus on cyber threats from state-backed hackers. The division's chief said that the move will allow the division to increase the scale and speed of disruption campaigns and prosecutions of nation-state cyber threats.
And meanwhile, US homebuilding projects surged to multi-decadal highs last month, signaling that the housing market may be easing after being severely hit by the Federal Reserve's rate tightening measures. Housing starts rose at an adjusted annualized rate of 1.6 million units in April, downwardly revised 1.34 million units. Remember, even with a Fed pause this month, it looks difficult for the builders reliant on loans to pace up the rebound seen in May.
And the news flow doesn't end here. President Joe Biden met with select artificial intelligence experts as part efforts to manage risks posed by AI. Biden said that the risks of artificial intelligence to national security and the economy need to be addressed.
And central bankers shifting focus to that. What is the commentary coming in? ECB's Villeroy said that inflation is past its peak in France and Euro region, signaling that most of their rate hike path is complete. Their future rate hike trajectory remains data dependent as well as of now. Now, meanwhile, Federal Reserve's Vice Chairman Michael has said that the SVB failure was rooted in the management culture and that the bank is ready to move if a bank's management is seen faltering. Adds that several banks have now built up liquidity.
And years after the controversial step down by Jack Ma, a major reshuffle is taking place at one of the biggest conglomerates in the world. Alibaba Group said Eddie Wu, the chairman of its Taobao and Tmall Group, would succeed Daniel Zhang as CEO. Zhang will shift to focus on cloud intelligence, Alibaba has said, while the current executive vice chairman, Joseph Tsai, will succeed as the group chairman. After a tumultuous 2 years that saw Alibaba heavily targeted by increased regulatory scrutiny, the firm said it would restructure into 6 units, each with their own boards and CEOs.
That was all the global update that we had for you all this morning. But we're going to slip into a very short break, viewers. And after the break, we'll go more domestic, we'll go more stock specific as well.
Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned to Market Cafe. This is ET Now. Today is also the 9th International Day of Yoga, and the highlight is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lead a massive yoga demonstration at the UN headquarters in New York later today. Interestingly, it was at the UN headquarters where PM Modi initially proposed the observance of this day in 2014. Back home, the main event will take place in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh, where a mass yoga demonstration will be led by Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. In the capital, the celebrations will be organized across 26 prominent sites, including Red Fort, Connaught Place, Central Park, Kartavya Path, Commonwealth Games Complex, as well as major green spaces like Nehru Park, Lodi Gardens, and the Coronation Park. Now, Union Home Minister Amit Shah and Smriti Irani will be attending events in Delhi.
Let's move on. And Air India has finally signed purchase agreements to acquire 470 aircrafts from Airbus and Boeing. Now, the purchase agreement is valued at about $70 billion and comes a day after Indigo announced the mega deal with Airbus for 500 jets. The Air India purchase agreements were signed on the sidelines of the Paris Air Show, and the chairman of Tata Sons and Air India, N. Chandrasekaran, said that these jets position Air India for long-term growth as well. Sameer Dikshit, my colleague, is joining in with us with the latest update on Sameer.
Now, these are definitely exciting times for the Indian aviation sector. After Indigo, now Air India, Tata-owned airline, also firms up its order of 470 aircraft, which includes a combination of Boeing as well as Airbus aircraft. The purchase agreement was signed at the sideline of the Paris Air Show. And if you see the aircraft composition, the order includes a combination of Boeing and 737 narrow body as well as wide body aircraft. The composition includes that it is going to be 34 A350-1000 aircraft, Airbus A350-900, 20 Boeing 787 Dreamliner, 10 Boeing 777 wide body aircraft. In addition to this, 140 Airbus A320neo, 70 Airbus A321neo, and 190 Boeing 737 MAX narrow body aircraft. So with these narrow body as well as wide body aircraft, Air India is looking to have a strong presence in the domestic, in the regional market, whereas having a significant presence in the international route as well. And the same has been stated by the chairman of Tata Sons and Air India, N. Chandrasekaran. He has mentioned that the massive order, the significant order that has been placed by Air India, it reflects the long-term growth strategy and the success that Air India is going to have in coming years. Now, in addition to this, if you see the aircraft order composition, Boeing 220 aircraft has been order has been placed by India, but it also includes that additional 70 order could be placed. Now, these 70, the space for additional 70 aircraft order includes 50 737 MAX aircraft and 20 787 Dreamliner aircraft. So this is the composition that the order includes, and the quantum of this deal is of around $70 billion as it is there in the list price. So that is a massive order that has been placed by Air India. And this announcement was already done in the month of February this year. But the new part or the development is regarding the delivery schedule of the aircraft or the order that has been placed. So A350 first delivery is likely to be taking place by the end of this year. And then going forward, the deliveries will take place. But if you see the larger picture, this is not just about Air India. Recently, Indigo also placed a massive order of 500 aircraft. Akasa Air is also looking to place a significant aircraft order by the end of this year. So this reflects the confidence in the Indian aviation sector and the growth that Indian aviation sector is likely to have from now and in coming years.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Samir. But let's move on and look at what the Asian markets are doing as well, because obviously there was not much of a rally that we saw in the US markets that had cooled off. US markets closed in the red. Stock futures for US also indicating a bit of a redness there, and Asian markets too have seen a fall because of that as well. Look at the Hang Seng. That's down almost more than 1.5% in trade, 1.4% as of now, downtick coming in on the Hang Seng. Shanghai too trading with a decline of almost 0.3% in trade as well. Kospi trading with a cut of almost 0.5%, more than 0.5% there. ASX 200, that's the Australian index, that too is down almost 0.3% in trade as well. Nikkei, that's the only one which is managing to stay in the green, because that's up mild greens there. It was higher on the morning side. So now we're seeing that fall coming in Nikkei as well. But yes, slight bit of a green at least is what you can see coming in as of now on the Nikkei as well. But other than that, nothing exciting coming in even in the Asian markets as of now. Clear pressure that is coming in the Asian markets as well. SGX Nifty indicating a muted start for the Indian markets as well. Down as of now, almost 0.1% in trade. 18,862 is what the SGX Nifty is indicating. So yes, muted start expected for the Indian markets. Dollar index below that 103 mark as well, Snehi.
All right, so muted start expected, at least that's what the SGX Nifty is indicating. So let's see how that pans out for the Indian market today. But with that, let's quickly slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned to Market Cafe. Now on our 14th anniversary, we caught up with Vallabh Bhansali, who's the chairman at Inam Group. Listen in to what he had to say about the shift he's seeing in the IT sector, India Inc.'s balance sheet and new highs on D Street.
As the world becomes more scientific, this is going to become more and more accepted. So I feel pretty happy about the world. It doesn't matter how grim the situation looks. It is heading in the right direction. A lot of people are heading in the right direction. So I see good days ahead for the world.
India is enjoying a premium positioning like never before, both in terms of political stability, business appeal, ease of doing business, and also in terms of the earnings as well as flows. Do you think from a market standpoint, there is too much of good news, and when there is too much of good news, investors never get bargains?
So I would say that yes and no, that there are ways and ways at looking at countries. India is now a very significant country. Say, for example, why should US dollar be as strong as it has been? Now, it's not in their balance sheet. The balance sheet seems broken, etc. But there were a lot of things that were happening behind the country and behind the dollar, and continue to happen, that surprises the world of dollar's strength. I think something similar is happening in India, which many people are not able to grasp. That there aren't many countries, and I've spoken about that, so I won't repeat, where we have the three balance sheets all aligned, all healthy. That I call only solvency. But if I were to look at a country in a more structural, more complete manner, then I would also, what is the sovereignty of the country? Now, we know that we have not always been a very sovereign power, and how in the last 30 years we've been more assertive about it, and last 25 years about it. But the sovereignty status of India today is unprecedented. The solvency status of India is unprecedented. Two other areas that are emerging, and they, as I hope they will build out the way I expect. The third one is what I call confidence, self-confidence. People from around the world go to the US and they feel we will be able to thrive here. The average Indian's confidence that, oh, he or she can thrive here is growing, but still not where it should be. But it is coming out of centuries of loss of self-confidence that, oh, we can do. So we thought small. Today's youngsters are not thinking small. The country is not thinking small. When some of our ministers speak about what they're doing, So this self-confidence is poised to go up massively if, the current environment that we are in continues, is my expectation. So what you see in IPCA, IPL, or what you see in the sports arena, all that is rising confidence manifesting in so many areas. The last, of course, where we have seen a lot of work is productivity. So productivity in terms of at policy making level itself, what policies were aligned to productivity, which meant you had respect for the country, that you could make this country productive and not just be an arbitrager, not just, be the body shop or an iron ore exporter. From there to think of value addition, and I walked that journey with Mr. Narayan Murthy at Infosys, that how to think of value addition. So I think that whole value addition confidence is going to come in this country.
Let's move on. And as the world gears up for the International Yoga Day, all eyes are on the United Nations, where Prime Minister Modi will lead the grand event. Eminent personalities from over 180 countries, including diplomats, entrepreneurs, are expected to attend the celebrations. This will also be the next stop where PM Modi after his state visit. So we decode the significance of Yoga Day. Take a look.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi all set to kickstart his maiden state visit to the United States. It's going to be a historic International Yoga Day celebration that he kicks it off with. Prime Minister Modi is leading a yoga session. This at the United Nations headquarters. He'll be joined by the President of the United Nations General Assembly, Chaba Karozi. And of course, the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, is going to be present there as well. Several top diplomats, artists, entrepreneurs, academicians, they're all expected to join the Prime Minister-led yoga session. The theme for this year's International Yoga Day is Yoga for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which encapsulates India's collective aspiration for one earth, one family, one future. So what makes the occasion even more special is the fact that it was Prime Minister Modi who first proposed observing International Yoga Day. In his speech at the United Nations General Assembly back in the year 2014, Modi called for the adoption of an International Day of Yoga, describing the ancient Indian tradition as an invaluable gift to humankind. His appeal resonated worldwide, and 193 member states of the United Nations unanimously adopted 21st June as International Yoga Day. And inaugural celebrations have taken place the next year as well. And since then, yoga has gained this global popularity. Millions of people practicing it as a means to improve their overall well-being and health.
And the yoga fever has taken across the streets of Bombay as well. And we have Aishwarya, who's standing by at Marine Drive, where people have gathered to do yoga. Aishwarya, what's happening at Marine Drive?
Well, since 5 a.m. this morning, they're almost wrapping up now. But all these people, thousands of people, have gathered since 5 a.m. this morning to do yoga, meditation, all sorts of practices that have been done throughout the stretch of the Queen's Necklace that you can see. Some of them here are from the Shilpa Yoga School, and I was actually smiling sheepishly because one of them asked me if I practice yoga every day, which I don't. Mostly I'm running on field, but I'm going to get some tips and get to know what it feels like to do yoga on a regular basis, because all of these people go to their centers, their nearest centers, and practice yoga each day. They're really regular, and the sort of energy they have today is just inspirational and motivating. You go to this yoga school each day. What motivated you to start yoga? Was it was it a New Year resolution, or how did it kickstart?
I started. I feel good, that's why.
But when was the first time you started doing yoga? What motivated you to do that?
I feel fresh. Friends and everyone was doing it, that's why I started.
Right. Ma'am, you have also been doing yoga for a long time. What motivated you? What was your inspiration?
Nice inspiration. And fresh feel and
Active.
So, what are the 5 yoga poses that you really would say has helped you stretch better, feel more energetic?
First, Surya Namaskar, then the Tadasan, and then meditation.
So how many people have you seen turn out this morning? Since morning you've been here. How long was the yoga session? How many people turned out?
5 o'clock people started, and from till like 7:30 people are doing it.
Well, as you can see, there's a whole lot of energy out here. We'll go across and speak to a few more people here who have been sitting from Shilpa Yoga class.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Aishwarya. Surely, you and me both don't seem to be practicing yoga. My favorite asana is Shavasana. That's the only thing I love. But let's move on. And Snehi, we'll also listen into a video message that the PM Modi has for us.
आज शाम को भारतीय समय के अनुसार शाम 5:30 बजे करीब संयुक्त राष्ट्र यूएन के मुख्यालय में जो विशाल मात्रा में योग कार्यक्रम हो रहा है, मैं उसमें शामिल। माननीय जगदीप धनखड़ जी, आज शाम को भारतीय समय के अनुसार शाम 5:30 बजे करीब संयुक्त राष्ट्र यूएन के मुख्यालय में जो विशाल मात्रा में योग कार्यक्रम हो रहा है, मैं उसमें शामिल होऊंगा। भारत के आह्वान पर दुनिया के 180 से ज्यादा देशों का एक साथ आना ऐतिहासिक है, अभूतपूर्व है।
And on the occasion of International Yoga Day, we also have my colleague Bhavya Dua, who's standing by at Kartavya Path in New Delhi to take you through what's happening in New Delhi. Bhavya?
So as the world is all geared to celebrate International Yoga Day today, Delhi is no behind. Union Ministry of Ayush has selected 26 sites across New Delhi where yoga will be celebrated, and some of the places include Red Fort, Kartavya Path where we are standing right now, and some green spaces like Lodi Garden, Nehru Park, and also Talkatora Garden here in Delhi. And the New Delhi Municipal Corporation has expected some 5,500 people who will participate in these yoga celebrations today, and Kartavya Path is one of the main sites for that, and an arrangement for 1,500 people have been made here, and we can see people practicing yoga across the entire stretch starting from Rashtrapati Bhavan to India Gate back there. And we also see all the arrangements made by the NDMC, which includes food and refreshments for the people, nodal officers present at all of these places. Rather, we have also seen a lot of these green places in Delhi like Lodi Garden, Nehru Park, building up events to this day. So we have seen from 17th to 20th June people practicing yoga every day in the morning. So it started somewhere around 6:30 in the morning, and it is going on till for the next half an hour and will be wrapped up by 8 a.m. in the morning. And the weather in Delhi is quite pleasant today, and in this weather seeing people practicing yoga early in the morning is surely quite refreshing.
Yeah, Bhavya, thank you so much for that. Surely very refreshing that we're seeing yoga not in Delhi, not only in Delhi, but in Mumbai and across the country as well. But on that note, viewers, we are going to sip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more updates after this break.
Thanks for staying tuned. This is Market Cafe on ET Now. Now, while the SGX Nifty is indicating a rather muted start up, down 0.1%, we have Lisa standing by, who's going to take you through a list of all the stocks that could be buzzing in trade today and the ones that you should be keeping on your radar. Lisa?
Well, yes, good morning. Starting with Shriram Finance, Piramal Enterprise will be offloading around 8.3% stake in the company, and the floor price is set at around 1,483 per share, which is a 4.9% discount to Tuesday's close price. Moving on to HDFC, we have an update on the merger. The Competition Commission of India, they have granted its approval to the proposed combination for HDFC Limited to increase its stake in HDFC Life as well as HDFC Ergo to more than 50% each. Now, on the lock-in period, it will be ending for data patents. The lock-in period represents 20% of the share, as well as for landmark cars, where the lock-in period represents 52% of the overall share. Now, RVNL yesterday, it slipped in trade, and that was because of reports of the JV with the TMH, the Russian TMH, on the news of its breakdown. But RVNL has clarified with respect to it that the news is factually incorrect, and the MOU between the parties, that is RVNL and TMH, that stands valid. And on Pidilite, they will be manufacturing Litocol and Tenex products from Italy and India, and that will strengthen Pidilite's presence in tile as well as stone care range. And lastly, on HDFC AMC, Aberdeen had sold its entire stake of 10.2% in the company. Well, the buyers' names are out, and that includes Morgan Stanley, Vanguard and ABSL mutual funds. So that was on the stocks that investors have to keep on their radar for today.
Absolutely, Lisa. Thank you so much for that. Surely keeping an eye out on all the stocks at 9:15 a.m. and what they are doing in trade. But we have an exciting lineup for you all on the market, and at 9:20 a.m. to talk about where the market is headed, what are the sectors that one could look at. Gautam Shah, CMT founder and chief strategist at Goldilocks Premium Research, joining in with us. Moving on, in terms of big policy boost for Subros coming in, and on top of that, we have at 9:35 a.m. PK Tukkal, CEO at Subros, joining in with us. Monsoons, how is that playing out? Is it going to be a spoil spot coming in? How are the demand trends shaping up? We have Godrej Agrovet, we have Nadir Godrej, chairman of Godrej Agrovet, joining in with us at 9:45. 9:55 a.m. Vikas Khemani, founder at Carl Capital Advisors, will be joining in with us to talk about yoga and markets. While in terms of Mahindra Finance, we have CFO Vivek Karve joining in with us at 10:05 to talk about the growth triggers for the company going forward.
That's the Power Pack lineup that we have for you today on the market. Stay tuned to ET Now. Now, moving on, Atul Suri of Marathon Trends PMS has been investing in capital goods and the engineering names. He believes these sectors have been underperformers in the past and have good growth potential. Listen.
And I think in India, what really happens, and where we are heavily overweight, overinvested, are places like your basic capital goods, infra, construction, defense. These are sectors which have not performed for a decade, right? They were dead. Nobody looked at them. So the beauty is that they're underowned, they're undercovered, and they're ignored. And they still, as you asked me, you're still looking at another set of stocks. But the set of stocks that are driving the market is new. And that is the nature of the market. The nature of the market is to sidestep you. It will always be a place where the majority will not make money, or where the majority opinion is stock somewhere else will move. So I think that this is something that we've experienced last year. This is a very big shift we made in our portfolio. It was very painful. You know, the names that you mentioned, we sold last year, and we got into a lot of these engineering, infra, defense plays. And you'll realize that, hey, you know what? Here the bull market is something else. Even financials, is such a big universe. Look at the financials that are moving.
HDFC Bank is not doing well.
Kotak. I mean, I don't want to take names because for reasons, but you'll realize. So I have an exposure in the sector, but my exposure is the NBFC space. You'll find that some high quality NBFC names, again, they may be little known, little discovered, less overowned, but I think they become perfect setups, and the kind of earnings that are coming, the quarterly numbers that are coming. So even in financials, what I said, where everyone is looking at overowned and asking questions, actually the action is happening somewhere else. Exactly what Nikunj raised the point. There's action in financials, but not where everyone is invested. There is action. So we, for us, are actually shockingly, controversially underweight the large banks and overweight the NBFCs. And I think that in that space, well, it's all doing great, yeah.
We also spoke to Shankar Sharma, G-Quant investment on the 14th anniversary as well. Listen into what he likes in terms of sectors and themes.
EaseMyTrip is a different kind of company. It is actually probably the best one of the new age companies, at least, in terms of it's profitable, it's bootstrapped. It's not been burning cash like the other startups. So that's one of the preferred ones in the overall ecosystem of new age listings. The newer ones are obviously they will take a while to become profitable. Off and on, they will have their moments of spurting up. Like Nykaa has gone from, I think, the 120s to, I think, 140 or something. But there is plenty of other choice in this market rather than worry about the listings that happened in 2021 towards the end. So, there is so many things to like in India. There's so many things to like about the market that we can have hours and hours of discussion on that. But be that as it may, my simple point is, I think we are at a fantastic point because we are just kind of reaching all-time highs. And that's usually, technically speaking, a good time to get invested because, then the markets are showing good momentum. Globally, markets are very supportive too. The Nasdaq looks very, very strong. I mean, I tweeted about it in, I think, late March or beginning April, that I felt that spring was around the corner. Spring being defined as not the weather, but the market spring. And the markets have been very, very strong, all of this spring and into summer. So I don't see any let-up at all.
But Shankar, if you had to make one choice of, let's say, a broader sector that you're quite positive on, is it, let's say, manufacturing as a theme? Is it the fact that Indian demographics are quite positive, so consumerism is something, and the luxury space, which is seeing a bit of spike? Where do you see the maximum amount of traction? I know you're spoiled for choice, but still, if you had to make a bet.
So, I mean, I'm not sectoral in my personal investing. So in fund investing, you have to be sectorally conscious. You have to make allocations. That's also a risk management cap. But in personal investing, I'm totally agnostic. I buy bottom-up companies that look interesting. They could belong to any sector. And I really don't care. But there are sectors like there are in logistics, some very interesting companies which have business models which are very differentiated, which are looking good in terms of their cash flows, return ratios, all the other things. I also own company in the services space. Again, I don't want to say that I mean, obviously, if I own something, I like it. Okay, so that's obviously the case. But there are companies which are into visa processing, which in my view, after COVID, the whole world tours and touring, traveling, etc., is in an upward momentum. We see the data from across the world in terms of travel bookings. So all that benefits a particular company listed in India. So, I mean, I'm extremely optimistic on the services space, on the manufacturing space as well. Some very interesting plays out there. So I don't want to get into names because then obviously that becomes controversial. But I mean, we are cutting across sectors here. The bullishness is across sectors.
Shankar, I recall, I don't know, about a year and a half back when you said Zomato, chai tomato, I'm not interested in that. And that statement of yours went viral. But now that these guys are talking profitability and somewhat, in sketchy ways, showing that as well, are you still interested in Zomato, or is it still as, one can ignore that?
So my good friend Samir is very bullish on it, that much I know. So, but again, remember, each investor, has his own philosophy, and Samir has very good reasons for liking Zomato. For me, when you invest personal money, I have to be extra picky about what I buy. Because ultimately it's my capital. And therein, I don't find Zomato fitting the bill. I mean, I have far, far better choices outside of the new age listings with good valuation comfort as well. I mean, there are companies which are still mid-teen multiples for 30-35% growth, 30-35% ROEs. And, that's really where my personal capital is headed. I'm looking at several transactions as well in the unlisted space, which will become listed. All of it, I just met a company this morning, probably 7-8 times earnings is what they're going to IPO at a year from now. I mean, sorry, towards the end of the year. So I don't have to go out and buy a Zomato or a Paytm, even if they are turning around or going to become profitable.
And Shankar, you've always been a strong believer that, the index may be doing whatever, but there is a large underlying broader market where there is bigger alpha to be generated. Tell me about some of the interesting themes that you're working on.
So, I mean, like I said, Aisha, there is no theme. I mean, themes come to me I have to pick 5 themes or maybe 8 themes a year, not even themes. I mean, 5 or 8 stocks a year, and that's enough to make a decent living. So, and of course, I mean, there will be stocks that kind of give you a bit of trouble, in a.
That's the word coming in from Shankar Sharma. But moving on to an ET Now exclusive then, and we learn from reliable sources that 3 contenders to buy Glenmark Life Sciences have moved to round 2. Anurag Joshi joins us with more details on this. Anurag?
Yeah, so the race to acquire Glenmark Life Sciences has narrowed to 3 contenders. Now, initially, when this race had started, there were at least 5 contenders in the reckoning to acquire Glenmark Life Sciences. Now, to give you a little background, Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, which is owned by and controlled by the Saldana family, they had initiated a sales process to sell Glenmark Life Sciences, and they had sought bids from various prospective investors to buy Glenmark Life Sciences. Now, the deal, the sources tell ET Now that the deal has reached the second round, and there are 3 contenders remaining, which are BP, EA, EQT, Nirma, and PAG. BP, EA, and PAG are private equity firms. Now, if this deal goes through, going by the current share price, the deal could be valued at the deal size could be over 6,000 crore rupees, and the valuation for Glenmark Life Sciences could be upwards of 7,000 crore rupees.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Anurag. But let's move on, and the Finance Ministry will take the views of GST Council on Karnataka High Court ordering a squashing of the GST notice of 21,000 crores against online gaming company Gamescraft. Now, ED Now has learned from sources that the Finance Ministry is of the view that they will approach Apex Court, but will decide with the consensus of the GST Council. Prakash is here to give us more details on this report. Prakash?
The sources are informing that the GST Council may discuss issue of show cause notices to the online gaming companies in its next meeting. Sources are informing that this discussion will take place on backdrop of Karnataka High Court order of questioning rupees 21,000 crore show cause notice against online gaming companies Gamescraft. Given to understand that the Finance Ministry will take GST Council's view before moving ahead with next course of action. As you are aware that Karnataka High Court has quashed rupees 21,000 crore show cause notice that was issued by Directorate General of GST Intelligence. It was issued in the month of September last year for not paying applicable GST as per nature of games. Gamescraft was also made an accused by DGGI for promoting online betting, but Karnataka High Court has given order in favor of the company. However, Finance Ministry is of the view that they will approach Supreme Court against the Karnataka High Court order, and GST Council's view would be sought before moving ahead in the context of the matter as well.
All right, thanks Prakash for all those details. But moving on then, PNB Housing will be in focus today on the back of its management meet. The company has guided loan growth of 18% for FY24 with disbursement growth in the 22 to 25% range. My colleague Sharad joins in with more details. Sharad?
Well, yes, in focus we are having PNB Housing Finance and guidance coming in for FY24, where they are expecting the loan growth to come in between 18%, while for the disbursements it's ranging between 22 to 25%. Now, looking at the net interest margin NIMs, they are expecting that to improve as well, and they are expected to maintain it to almost 3.5%, and the spread is expected to be at a sustainable numbers of almost 2.5%. Apart from this, also the cost of funds that is expected to improve, and there's range between 30 to 35 basis points, and this is coming in as well on the back of access to the NHB funds as well. Now, apart from these numbers, management said that the next 4 to 5 quarters, that is where the asset quality is expected to improve, and the GNPL levels would be there coming at the industry levels of roughly 1.2%. Now, looking ahead, what is the return on assets target scaling? That number is coming to be almost 2%, and the company has stated that the CAR ratio, which is basically your capital adequacy ratio, that is expected to come in at 30%. Apart from this, also PNB has intended that they won't be selling their stake and they would be remaining as a promoter classification. And do remember, recently housing finance companies and the NBFCs has been on rally mode.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sharad. But with that, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Market Cafe. As of now, SGX Nifty indicating a muted start. So goodbye from Snehi, myself, as well as the team who put this show together. But don't go anywhere. The markets will take the action forward.